Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Days with Davo. We are officially in the 8th episode of Days with Davo, and it's been a while since I've been here, so welcome back. It is great to finally be back. Summer was odd. There was a lot of different things, took a lot of different time, stuff going on, so I really wasn't able to sit down and actually get anything out there. So I'm hoping that you guys are still here. I hope that you still will join me on this little dumpster fire we call Days with Davo. So we're just going to dive into it. And I'm going to start with a plug real quick. If you look, my coffee cup today, Friends Coffee Shop, you will find that on Main Street and Three Rivers. Can't beat it. The two people that run it are two of the most amazing people you'll ever meet in your whole life. Stop down there. And while you're down there, if you're lucky enough to be going with us to Billy Strings in Albany, they have a bus trip going. So sign up. I believe it's $50 per person. There were 10 seats left last time I checked, but it's worth it, man, not to drive and then drive home. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait. I've been fiending some more Billy Strings. So without further ado, let's get into some weird stuff. First thing I want to talk about is the Carlie Kirk assassination. First and foremost, anyone whose life this has touched in any possible way, deepest sympathies for the family, the friends, everyone that knew him. It was, to me, it was very surreal. I don't know if I would exactly say it was like a JFK moment, because obviously I wasn't alive for JFK, but it kind of has a lot of those earmarks where it kind of feels like a JFK moment. Outspoken person taken out. No one really saw it coming, but there is a lot of weirdness involved with this one. Me personally was not a Charlie Kirk fan. It's not like I hated the guy, or, I like, excuse me, or I was like, like online bashed him, but I also wasn't like pro him. I found him to be very I don't know, to me kind of like toxic. Just the way that he would go to these colleges and just argue. Like, I guess I don't know. I don't subscribe to that idea of, I'm going to prove you wrong. Here I am. These are my beliefs. I'm going to prove you wrong. I subscribe to the idea of, everyone has their opinion, and if you don't like it, just go, especially like on like social media. If you're friends with someone who has a different viewpoint, you don't have to constantly fight with them. You don't have to unfriend them. You are allowed to just scroll past it, or unfollow it for like 30 days. Give yourself a break if you don't really like a lot of what they're saying. I don't I don't get this whole, Civil War thing, or my side versus your side. Like, I don't ever subscribe to that. So I didn't really like that format that he was a part of. But I also kind of looked at it where I was like, dude, something bad is going to happen if you continually go to these colleges. People are unhinged today, like so unhinged. And especially if it's something they feel passionate about, they are not going to be okay with you telling them that they're wrong. And I get, like, maybe you get a little jolt from maybe changing someone's mind if you actually can. But I don't really think there was too many people whose minds were changed. They just felt bad after their conversation with them. So, but with that being said, that whole thing, it was absolutely crazy. Yeah, I mean, everyone, I'm sure you've seen the video at this point. And to be honest with you, like, the internet is forever. So that video is always going to be there. And I feel for his kids, because at some point, it's going to come across them. They're going to see it. Someone's going to show it to them. I mean, they'll never be able to get away with it. So that's sad to me. But I kind of, there was a lot of weirdness with the whole thing. Especially the kid that shot him, because at first, like, they had that one guy who was that old man that when they said, "Oh, we have him," because immediately everything is so spot on now with the internet and your phone in your pocket. Like I knew before I even knew that he was shot. Like I was getting messages or there was a notification. Oh, Charlie Kirk just got shot, and it's kind of crazy that one dude didn't like throw up his hands like, dude, I'm not the guy. Like I didn't shoot him. All he said was, I know my rights. I know my rights. I'm like, okay. So to me, that was a distraction. So whatever was in play, that dude was down there to distract you from the real cause. And then you kind of look in a little deeper, and that dude um was at the Boston Marathon bombing. He was one of the first people to um I guess I don't quite know what he had to do with 9/11, but he was one of the first people to maybe like call the authorities that something about 9/11. I don't really 100% know, but that guy is like tied to like a bunch of different things that happen in our lifetime. So it's very weird. So that dude's weird. Come to find out, wasn't the dude. So they let him go. And then here we go with a manhunt. And then they find, I mean, there's eyes in the skies everywhere. You're gonna find the person no matter what. And then they find this kid, Tyler Richardson. Tyler, which me personally don't think he was a dude. I don't. I think he's a patsy. I think there's MK Ultra involved, where he thinks maybe he did, but I'm not quite sure. I haven't. There's more stuff coming out all the time, especially with like Candace Owen, all the deep dives that she's doing right now. Whether you think she's absolutely batshit crazy or you believe a lot of the stuff, she's uncovering some stuff. So I don't believe Tyler Richardson was the guy, and I also don't think that video of him like jumping off the roof. That's obviously AI. It's not real. And then why is it like all these assassinations, like the Luigi one where he killed the CEO from the healthcare provider? Uh, why are they always at like a fast food restaurant when they catch up with him? He was at McDonald's, Luigi, and then they have video of Tyler Richardson at Dairy Queen. And then here's where we're gonna get a little weird. In the Dairy Queen, there's a cutout for the Man of Steel, the new Superman movie that came out. Some sort of promotion, probably a Blizzard or something. Side note: Blizzards are the best. I'd take a Blizzard over. What is the one that McDonald's makes? I can't think of it now, but I take that over because when they hand you a Blizzard, they hold it upside down for you. You know that there's thick ice cream in there and it's going to be amazing. So, but yeah, they find him in Dairy Queen. And then after the autopsy of Charlie Kirk, like there's an entry wound, but there's no exit wound. So if he is the shooter and he used the gun that he used, there's going to be entry and an exit wound. There's not. So the media's whole thing, they're saying, oh man, he, like he's like the chosen one. He's got bones of steel, man of steel. All right. So let's link these things together. Odd. So then Tyler Richardson, and then they find up all this stuff about Tyler Richardson, and then they have Discord messages from Tyler Richardson. And do yourself a favor, dive into some of those. They are the weirdest things. It seems like a robot wrote them. For seriously, like AI did it for him. And I mean, even AI is better than some of these. It seems like a nerd, like some sort of nerd FBI agent behind a desk, like wrote all these. Where it's like, hi guys, it's me, Tyler Richardson. Like, who says that? Like, no one says that. Come on. And then some of his back and forth with his trans girlfriend, which I don't believe that either. I don't think he had one. I just think it's something to throw out there. It's these hot topic buzzwords, trans and rifle, like, oh, this, oh, let's get pissed about this and this and this and this. So I don't believe any of it. I don't think he was the guy. I do think possibly someone was there that did it. I think it was a coordinated effort. Oh, excuse me. And so the more and more I go into this, I'm like, he's not the guy. And then you kind of have the whole thing where Charlie Kirk, when he was very pro Israel when he started up, and then the more he kind of towards the end of his life, he kind of, I wouldn't say he was like anti-Israel, but he did push back on like a lot of stuff. He didn't believe what they were doing in Gaza was the right approach. He there's text messages that have been released where he stopped taking money from Israel, and that's a huge red flag. And am I saying Israel did it? No, I don't think the state of Israel did it. Maybe, or maybe, but they possibly could have something to do with it. I think all these things are coordinated events, kind of like JFK. Like there's no real smoking gun that I believe who shot JFK. I think it was like a bunch of different people all involved in getting rid of him, and I think this could have had the same thing. But also the day that he died, September 10th, 2025, Congress was voting on whether or not to release the Epstein files, and almost all Republicans voted no. So that's weird. And I'm not saying any of these people had anything to do with it. I'm just pointing out the weird things. That's weird. There was a plane that took off right after the shooting happened, and they turned off their GPS for a couple hours and then turned it back on. That's weird. Were those the people that had something to do with it? Maybe not. I don't know. But these are just weird things that all happen. So then I kind of look into, and I start to feel bad. I'm like, oh man, I feel bad for his, I didn't really like the guy, but I feel bad for his children, and I feel bad for his wife. His wife's weird. I get it. Everybody grieves differently, but it's very weird, her whole thing. Because it's almost like, there was like a photo shoot at the casket where she needed to look sad and this and that. And I bet I would be sad if my significant other got gunned down. I don't know what I would do, but I definitely know I wouldn't be doing a podcast a few weeks later, like smiling and laughing. These are facts. This is not something I'm making up. These are facts. But then again, everybody grieves differently. Maybe that's the way she grieves. Maybe she has to do that, but I don't know. If my wife, after I get gunned down, is doing a podcast and she's like remotely looks okay, like question her, like please question her. And then where does she get her start? Well, she was a beauty pageant contestant on Trump's beauty pageant. Connect those dots if you want. I think there's anything there? Probably not. It's just a very strange coincidence. And then after she does that, she goes to Romania and she works with this group that was involved in like trafficking children. Do I think she trafficked children? Probably not. No, I doubt it. But she's involved in some of this stuff. It's like she's not kind of like squeaky clean. So that's weird. And I'm not saying that, you guys should listen to me or you should be like, oh, Davo says that, this is no, look into it for yourself. Look at all this weirdness. And then look at the movie Snake Eyes from 1998 with Nicolas Cage. Do you know about that? Okay, well, let's go into it. A congressman named Charlie Kirkland gets assassinated on September 10th at a boxing match. Okay, that's different. And I believe the boxer's name was Tyler Richardson, Lincoln Tyler. Predictive programming, maybe. I don't know. It's just very weird. The exact date, someone whose name was really similar, both got shot in the neck. Come on. Let's put them all together, guys. So that's the way I feel about the Charlie Kirk thing. More and more is coming out, and I might possibly like dive back into it. But for now, I feel this is very, very odd. And I think you should too. Don't just like go along with, oh, he was a piece of shit and he hated gays, or he was, a Christian and these are his Christian values, like, because that's what they do. Like they try to split you and get you to be very this way or very that way. Like you have to look at these signs. But I'm not going to go over the top with it. These are just things that I noticed. Another thing, 31 Atlas. Do you know about it? I really haven't looked into too much of it, but it's getting closer, in which it's kind of being a blip on the radar. Do I think maybe it's absolutely nothing? Yes. Do I think maybe it's absolutely something? Maybe. Do I think it's a comet? Probably not. Do I think it's aliens? Probably not. I think it's always, to me, it's always something that some agency had put out there to get us distracted from something else that's happening. But just recently, NASA launched their interplanetary protocol. That's fun. I didn't even know they had one, but apparently they do. And they launched it because we should be very afraid of 31 Atlas. And then you have like all these kind of people that know a lot about like the universe and stars and the cosmos. You're Neil deGrasse Tyson. I forget that Japanese fellow's name. He's been on Rogan a bunch of times, but he's very into it and he doesn't feel great about it. And then you have Avi Loeb, who, whether or not you think he's full of shit or he's actually, someone that can be trusted. He came out recently, like last week, and said, if you're going to take a vacation, take it now before the 28th of October, because after this thing makes its way towards Earth, money's not going to matter. Is that a weird thing to say? I honestly think it's a very weird thing to say. So you should kind of, I'm not saying believe in one or the other, but like your spidey senses should be up. Throw on your tinfoil hat, to take a look. For me, I think it's a lot of some agency is doing something over here, so we want you to look over here because that's just what they do. Um, so that's kind of weird to me. Also, okay, so now this one is kind of like, and it might ruffle some feathers whether or not you're for or against it. I fall exactly in the middle, like I do with most things. If you know me, I just don't really go either way. But the No Kings protest, it seems like every weekend there's like a new No Kings protest. And, I drive downtown and I see them. And I've actually stopped and talked to a few of them. And usually they don't have an answer for me when I bring stuff up. I think I might just join them with a release the files Epstein poster, just, hey man, why not? Someone should be talking about that because we're not. Like, it's something big, it's something huge, and we should not be talking about it. So now with the No Kings protest, I always ask them, and I'm like, okay, so what's the end game here? You think Donald Trump is a king or a dictator or this or that, and I get it. You hate him, and well, why not? Sure, let's hate him. But what's after him? So if we get all these No Kings protests and say, hey, all of America gets on board and they're like, we want him gone, and they end up impeaching him or getting rid of him, throw him in jail for something. What comes after that? We get JD Vance, right? JD Vance, that dude, Yale graduate, skull and bones. I don't trust that dude. Do you want him in charge? I most certainly do not. And then say, like, not him, but the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Don't trust that dude. Don't trust any of them. So what's really the alternative? Is it no kings or do we want a new king? Because I think the last guy that we had, do you remember COVID? Do you remember like coming out of COVID and all the different things that all these different protocols and you're going to get a vaccine. And if you don't get the vaccine, we're going to make it very difficult for you. And then making everyone feel terrible by saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And it was kind of like they really wanted to push not letting anyone who was not getting this experimental vaccine, we don't want you riding on airplanes, we don't want you in the grocery store, we don't want you to have like any freedoms whatsoever. To me, that is a very authoritarian way of dealing with stuff. To me, that seems like a king. That seems like just bad news altogether. But let's look at it. Joe Biden's presidency. Can you honestly, like, if you're a lifelong Democrat and you really feel good about those past 4 years that we did, I'm not saying that you should feel good about what's going on right now because I'm struggling. I know a lot of other people that are struggling. Like, things don't seem great right now. especially tariffs. Don't get me started on that. That makes my work life a living flipping hell. But I don't really think Joe Biden was in charge. That guy couldn't walk off the stage. He had no idea. He was on Jupiter while the rest of us were like listening to him like muddle through these different speeches he was giving. Unless I think he was all jacked up on meth. And then that guy made a lot of sense, but he was angry. He was very angry. Do you remember the whole Dark Brandon thing where there was like a red light behind him and it was frightening. So I didn't like that. And I don't really love what's going on now either, but what's the alternative? Like, where do we go from here? Can we please get someone that gives us a little sense of, I feel good about this. Let's go. But honestly, I don't. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to keep on trying to provide for my family. I'm going to work as hard as I can. And on the 12th of November, I'm going to see Billy Strings in Albany, and I'm going to feel amazing for at least 2 weeks to a month. So, do yourself a favor. Go down to Friends. First, get your tickets to Billy Strings. Go see Friends Coffee Shop, Main Street, Three Rivers. Get on the bus. Come to Albany. Have a great time. That's really all I got for you today, guys. It's been a while since I did a podcast. I want to throw one out there. I hope I still have listeners left because they always say, like, when you start a podcast, you should have like a bunch of like different ones because you don't want to leave too much space in between because people forget about you. So I hope you didn't forget about me. I missed you. I love you. Come back. Days with Davo. These are your days. I hope they don't suck. Peace.